I suppose they worked on them to get the book produced. I thought it was 2003, but let's not argue about it a couple of years. I suppose they worked on them and eventually got around to publishing them. I don't think there's anything sinister behind this. I think
well,
the only
you know
thing
how we
sinister behind
feel
it
about the Templars and the Da Vinci Code and all these myths about it. Let me ask you about those myths about the Templars, and that is, did they really have the Holy Grail? Were they the protectors of the Holy Grail?
Not at all, no. No evidence whatsoever. That's magic. The Holy Grail itself is a medieval myth, but the Templars had really nothing at all to do with it. Dan Brown has a very fertile imagination. Although, on the other hand, I mean, the whole business about the Templars, you know about Freemasons, of course. Well, Freemasons were, they invented a backstory about, as it were, when they came into existence, probably at the end of the 17th or the beginning of the early 18th century. They invented a backstory for themselves in the middle of the 18th century and claimed descent from the Templars. But I mean, there's absolutely no evidence for this.
Let me ask you about, back to the document itself. What does it tell us about the Templars?
Well, it doesn't tell us a great deal, frankly, that we didn't know already. What it is an account of the trial before well, not before the Pope, because the Pope ordered the trial, Clement V ordered the trial of the Templars, really under pressure from the King of France. The King of France, for reasons of his own, wanted the Templars suppressed. And he put a lot of pressure on the Pope, who was actually living in France and was indeed himself French, to put the Templars on trial. He wanted them suppressed. The Pope tried to prevent that, and this trial actually says they're not guilty of the things that the King of France said they were. The King of France said they were heretics, and this document clearly says the Templars weren't heretics, though they had some very peculiar practices which were, I suppose, questionable at the time. And so, for instance, their initiation ceremonies and that sort of thing. So there was a lot of reason to look at them with suspicion, but they were certainly not heretics.
So why are these documents so important?
Well, to be honest, I don't think they are important. I think the Vatican is on is simply using this as an opportunity to raise money. The money that is being raised by this publication is going into the preservation of more documents from the archives. I mean, I know it does sound sinister when they talk about the secret archives of the Vatican, but you have to remember that the word secret in Latin, secretum, the Archivium Secretum of the Vatican, simply means the private papers of the Pope. Secretum means private.
All right, this is quite disappointing. We've always been intrigued by the Templars. What, do they really still exist?
Well, a lot of people, if you point your browser, as they say, at the word Templar, you'll get all sorts of curious organizations which are claiming the title, most of them sort of right-wing Catholics. But there's no survival whatsoever. A lot of them, in France anyway, were put to death, but outside France they seem to have survived.